We like to think we are the masters of our own destiny. We tell ourselves that we are civilized, rational, and logical beings. We build massive empires, we write complex laws, and we construct high walls to keep the chaos out. But history is not written by the rational mind. It is written by the reptilian brain. Look closely at the fall of great men. Rarely is it a superior strategy that defeats them. More often, it is a single moment of weakness, a flash of anger, a drop of wine, a sudden uncontrollable urge. Today, we are going to dissect two brutal stories from ancient Greece. Two stories that prove a terrifying truth. Biology always wins. In the first, a king tries to use logic to cheat fate, only to find that his own repression is the very instrument of his doom. In the second, a brilliant general weaponizes this biological flaw, turning sexual desire into a military strategy to slaughter his enemies. Forget the marble statues. This is a story about sweat, fear, and the fatal mistake of thinking you can control human nature. Let's go back to the Bronze Age, to Thebes, and specifically to its king, Laius. Laius is a man under pressure. He has a kingdom, he has power, but he has no heir. In the ancient world, a king without a son is a walking corpse. His legacy ends when his heart stops. Desperate for answers, he travels to Delphi. Now, understand this. Delphi wasn't a polite church where you went to pray. It was the center of the world, a place where the barrier between sanity and madness was thin. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and rotting laurel leaves. The oracle, the Pythia, sat over a fissure in the earth, inhaling hallucinogenic gases. When she spoke, it wasn't a human voice. It was the screaming of the gods. Laius asks about his future son. He expects good news. Instead, he gets a horror story. The oracle convulses and spits out the prophecy. Do not sow a furrow of children against the will of the gods. If you father a son, he will kill you and marry his mother. Let that sink in. Parricide and incest. The two ultimate taboos of humanity, served in one sentence. Laius returns to Thebes, and here is where he makes his first mistake. He acts purely rationally. He thinks he can solve a divine curse with a mathematical solution. The equation is simple. No sex equals no son. No son equals no death. He becomes a monk in his own palace. He pushes his wife, Jocasta, away. He refuses to touch her, refuses to explain why. He sleeps behind locked doors. For months, the palace becomes a cold war zone. Laius thinks he is winning. He thinks he is safe. But he forgot one variable in his equation. He forgot Jocasta. Jocasta isn't just a wife. She is a queen. And a queen being rejected is a dangerous political reality. She feels the humiliation. She suspects he has a mistress, or worse, that he is impotent and weak. She doesn't know about the prophecy. She only knows she is being denied her rights. And while Laius is playing chess with Apollo, Jocasta decides to change the game. One night, Jocasta decides she has had enough. She prepares a trap. It's not a cage or a pit, it's a dinner. She spikes the wine, heavy, sweet vintage, mixed with herbs known to lower inhibitions, aphrodisiacs. Laius sits down, tired, stressed, his guard up. But he takes a sip, then another. Watch how fragile human rationality is. It takes years to build a philosophy, but only a few cups of wine to destroy it. As the alcohol hits his bloodstream, the fear of the prophecy fades. The image of the oracle becomes blurry. The woman in front of him stops being a threat and starts being desirable. Biology takes over. The frontal cortex shuts down. The primal brain wakes up. That night, Laius sleeps with Jocasta. He wins the night, but he loses his life. 9 months later, the hangover hits. A son is born. When Laius sees the baby boy, the terror returns. The prophecy is now flesh and blood. He has to kill the child. It's the only logical step. But Laius is a coward. He can't look the baby in the eye and slit its throat. So he outsources the murder. He orders a servant to take the baby to Mount Cithaeron, a desolate place of wolves and exposure. But before he sends the child away, Laius does something unnecessary, something cruel. He takes a metal pin and drives it through the infant's ankles, binding them together. Why? To stop the ghost from walking, to ensure it can't crawl to safety. It was an act of pure spite. The baby is left to die. Laius washes his hands. He thinks, "It is done. I have beaten the gods." But the child doesn't die. He is found by shepherds. They see his injured, swollen feet, and they give him a name, Oedipus. The boy grows up, strong, unaware of his true identity, and years later, fate sets up the meeting. It happens on a narrow crossroad, not a battlefield, just a dusty path. Laius, now an old man, is riding in his chariot. He is arrogant, accustomed to people bowing. He meets a young man walking. Neither wants to move. It's absurd, isn't it? A king and his son, strangers to each other, locked in a standoff over right of way. The herald orders the young man to move. The young man refuses. The herald strikes him, and in a split second, rage takes over. The young man draws his sword. He is faster, stronger, and angrier. He slaughters the herald. He drags the old man from the chariot and bashes his skull in. Laius dies in the dirt, staring into the eyes of the son he tried to kill. The prophecy wasn't fulfilled by magic. It was fulfilled by arrogance, by anger, by the very human inability to step aside. Laius was a victim of his instincts. But history teaches us that what destroys one man can be a weapon for another. Fast forward a few centuries. We are still in Thebes, but the game has changed. The city is under the thumb of tyrants, supported by Sparta. They hold the Cadmea, the impenetrable citadel atop the city. Enter Epaminondas, a philosopher general, a man who studied war not just as a clash of spears, but as a clash of minds. He wants to liberate his city, but he can't storm the Cadmea. The walls are too high, the gates too thick. He needs a Trojan horse, but instead of wood, he uses flesh. He looks at his enemy, the commander of the Garrison, a man named Theban, and he analyzes him. What is Theban's weakness? It's not his shield, it's his lust. Theban has been obsessed with Epaminondas' wife, Amphia, for years. He's been spreading rumors, bragging that he will have her. Most men would challenge Theban to a duel. Epaminondas is colder than that. He decides to give Theban exactly what he wants. He creates a master plan. Amphia sends a secret message to the fortress. "I am coming tonight. and I am bringing friends for your officers, beautiful women who want to party. Thebaid is ecstatic. He thinks he has seduced the wife of his enemy. His ego is through the roof. He orders the guards to let them in. That evening, a group of figures approaches the fortress gates. They are wrapped in long, flowing robes, faces covered by veils, walking with a feminine sway. The guards laugh, wink, and open the heavy doors. The fox is in the henhouse. Inside the banquet hall, the air smells of roasted meat and heavy wine. The Spartan officers are drunk, disarmed, vulnerable. They see the women enter. They cheer. They think this is the night of their lives. Amphia plays her role perfectly. She flirts. She pours more wine. She whispers that the girls are shy and need the lights dimmed. The anticipation builds. Thebaid reaches out to touch her. And then, the signal. Amphia steps back. The women stop giggling. Their posture changes instantly. The feminine sway disappears, replaced by the rigid stance of trained killers. They throw off the veils. Underneath, they are not women. They are Thebes' deadliest assassins. Young men chosen because they had no beards, hiding short swords under their dresses. The realization on Thebaid's face lasts only a fraction of a second. Before he can scream, a sword is buried in his chest. It wasn't a fight, it was an execution. Drunk, confused, and unarmed, the officers stood no chance. They were butchered at their own table, slipping in their own blood. The fortress that couldn't be taken by an army fell in 10 minutes because the commander couldn't keep his pants on. Epaminondas didn't use a battering ram. He used his enemy's biology against him. He knew that a man thinking about sex is a man who isn't thinking about survival. Two men, two positions of power, one destroyed by trying to repress his nature, the other destroyed by indulging it. We stand here in the 21st century with our smartphones and our science, and we judge them. We think we are different, but we are not. We are still walking tightropes between our rational minds and our animal instincts. The lesson of history is harsh but clear. You can build the thickest walls, you can consult the wisest gods, and you can plan every move. But in the end, we are all just one bad decision away from disaster. Rationality is a tool, but instinct is the master. Sleep with one eye open and never trust your own desires.